Holy crap, there it is, boys. A 6-figure Bitcoin. And I hope you guys are strapped in because we're going to the moon and this rocket has just left the launching pad. As I said, Bitcoin is at $100,000 at the time of recording, and we're continuing this breakout of this cup and handle with a price target of about $120,000. That doesn't mean that that's going to be the top, but I'm thinking that we're going to make it at least that far. And I think this is going to bring the retail investors back into the market because we've just re-entered altcoin season. This has got a lot of people saying that this is a bubble already, and they're comparing it back to the tulip mania all the way about 400 years ago in 1636. As you can see, whenever the tulip mania happened, it says in 1636, one tulip bulb cost more than an Amsterdam mansion. 150 times a craftsman's salary, worth $25,000 in today's money. That is a whole lot of money for one flower, especially since flowers just wilt in like a week or something like that. But it goes on to say in February of that year, the market collapsed by 90% in weeks. And it looks like a lot of people are expecting the same thing to happen with Bitcoin and Nvidia and probably a whole bunch of other assets. But I think this is just some cope. Probably because this person probably missed out on the pump for one, and you can pretty much zoom in on any chart if you zoom in enough and then put it up next to another chart that might not even be zoomed in as much, and you can probably make them look the same. But also, I'll see your tulips and I'll raise you the dollar. Just look at this chart of the national debt. This is the value of the dollar if you flipped it. Because if you look at the value of the dollar, it's going down just as fast as this chart is going up. And the reason why assets are going up like this is because the denominator is the dollar. And the government's just going to keep on printing no matter what Elon Musk does with the Doge. Hopefully he can get things more under control so we can enter some kind of a golden age. And maybe America does have a second wind. We're going to just have to wait and see what happens. But even if they cut the budget down significantly, they're still going to have to print a whole bunch of money. And that's going to continue pushing assets like Bitcoin and houses and the stock market and everything else all the way up to the moon. There's nothing that's going to stop it really, and I would love to be wrong about this, honestly. But in my opinion, this guy is just sipping on that copium tea. Speaking of people coping because they missed out on this pump, here we got a post from Peter Schiff from all the way back on November 8th of 2019. He said, "Keep dreaming, Bitcoin will never hit $100,000. Well, it happened, and I've never seen levels of copium this hard. Even today, he's saying, with just the retracement back from 104,000 to about 100,000, that people are selling Bitcoin and cashing out with huge gains, and they're leaving the buyers left holding the bag. He thinks this is the top, I guess. I mean, it could be a top or something like that. I'm not saying that Bitcoin can't go back below $100,000. But I don't think this bull market is over, and yeah, we're going to see a bear market again, and then I think it probably can dip below $100,000 again. But Peter Schiff has made his whole career around talking about how the government just keeps on continuing to print money, and that's why you have to be in different assets like gold. So he should know that this is not going to be the bottom. And as the government continues printing and devaluing the dollar, yes, Bitcoin is probably going to continue to the upside. But honestly, I think Peter Schiff knows that, and he's probably making more money by talking crap about Bitcoin and bringing a bunch of attention to him because he probably gets all kinds of ad revenue on his YouTube channel, and he's probably making money from X as well. Also, he is running a company that lets you buy gold, and so obviously he has incentive to talk about gold and say that its biggest competitor is worthless, and I wouldn't honestly be surprised if he does have some Bitcoin somewhere. But almost as certainly as I know the government's going to continue printing money, I know Peter Schiff is probably going to continue hating on Bitcoin, and I also know that the memes are going to be great.
At this point, anyone who has been stacking or hodling is on top of the world.
Oh, absolutely. And MicroStrategy was a first mover in terms of adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet, and that's why this national crypto stockpile is so compelling. compelling. So essentially, the U.S. government has $16 billion worth of Bitcoin already on its balance sheet that it has amassed through these seizure operations. But what Donald Trump is talking about doing is not only holding on to that, but he's also been talking to Senator Lummis and her team, who put forth legislation to buy 1 million Bitcoin over the course of 5 years, so that ultimately you get a supply of Bitcoin held by the U.S. government that is, tantamount to what we have in gold reserves, gold reserves, gold reserves, gold reserves.
It's not your fault. Don't fuck with me. It's not your fault.
Well, you fucked up, all right? So what? So everybody does it. Get on with your life, would you?
What life? I got no life! I'm in the dark here!
The memes are getting better, and I think things are perfectly primed for retail to re-enter the market. So things are probably going to get really insane here in the next few months. And as a lot of people have been saying, we could be ready to enter a golden age for cryptocurrency and for America. We've been seeing Donald Trump nominate a whole bunch of pro-cryptocurrency people to his cabinet, and we've never seen such a pro-cryptocurrency government as we could be seeing, including the chairman of the SEC, which could be Paul Atkins, replacing one of the most anti-crypto chairmen of the SEC, surprisingly, since he had a Bitcoin class at MIT. But with Gary Gensler out and Paul Atkins maybe replacing him, and with the Republicans having control over the House, the Senate, and the Supreme Court, we could be seeing all kinds of pro-crypto legislation that's coming through. And this could open the floodgates of a bunch of innovation that's been held back by the anti-crypto army that's been headed up by the Democratic Party over the past 4 or so years. A lot of things are going to be changing here, and there's going to be a lot of excitement. And this could mean that we're really just entering the biggest bull market of all time. If that is the case, then Bitcoin could fly well past $120,000. But the more parabolic it goes, I'm still going to be honest, I'm going to be more and more nervous, because eventually we are going to have a retracement. And as they say, it always gets pumpiest before it gets dumpiest. And whenever euphoria re-enters the market, everybody's going to be saying that this bull market's going to go forever. But there's a whole bunch of cliches in cryptocurrency for a reason. And that's because, just like one of the cliches say, nobody ever went broke by taking profits. Honestly, I have more of a Michael Saylor strategy. I never want to sell my Bitcoin. But altcoins are going to be going absolutely crazy, and that's going to represent a really great opportunity to continue stacking sats and get a bag of maybe some stable coins or something so that you can buy whenever we do eventually see a retracement. So like I said, things are going to get really crazy, and I'm super excited. But don't let the emotions get the better of you, because this isn't my first bull market, and I've got caught holding a bunch of bags in the past. And if you're new to crypto, let me just tell you right now, it sucks. I'm sure a lot of people in the comments can tell you the same thing. I've got some really great followers, and they stuck with me through the whole bear market, but it was brutal, and it lasted almost 4 years. And you're going to be looking at your favorite altcoin, and you're going to be saying, wow, it's down like 86%, it can't go down much more at all. But it's going to drop another 50%, and that's only going to take it down to like 88% from the top. That's just how percentages work, and they'll trick you. And so will your emotions, so just be careful. But for now, like I said, we've just entered altcoin season, and things are going to get crazy. So what kind of altcoins can you use to make some big bucks and stack up a bag of dry powder so that you can buy the dip as well? That's going to be the question of the day, because Steven Z says, what do you think are some reasonable price projections in this bull run for ETH, XRP, and ADA? Will they hit their all-time highs? He also asks, in addition to projections on XRP, ADA, and ETH in this bull run, I would love to get your thoughts on H-bar. Worth looking into? Well, yeah, I like H-bar. I personally don't have any right now, and I think it's a competitor to Ethereum. And they say it's not really a blockchain because it runs on Hashgraph. But personally, I don't know what makes it stand out above all of the other competitors to Ethereum like Solana. But its market cap is much lower than Solana, and it's been pumping pretty hard over the past couple of weeks. So if it does have a retracement, I think that it could be a big gainer, and it's definitely not a rug pull, just like the other things on this list. Ethereum is pretty good, but honestly, I think it's got a lot of competition that is much more developed for the first time in a bull market. So I don't know if it's going to pump as hard as it has in the past. I mean, nothing really pumps as hard as it has in other bull markets except for like Dogecoin, because for most of these projects, including Bitcoin, there is diminishing returns. And the more and more competition they get, the more they're going to have to share the attention, and that's going to stunt their growth as well. Ethereum's always a great hold, and what's really interesting to me about Ethereum is, for one, the staking, and also if you go look at like NFTs or anything you can buy with crypto, it's usually priced in Ethereum or maybe Bitcoin as well. So a lot of people know about Ethereum, obviously, and that means it's going to be one of the first things that people put their money into whenever they come into this space. So it's probably always going to be a great option unless something goes really wrong with it. But Ethereum does have really high gas fees, and some of these competitors are trying to solve that problem, like Solana, for instance, which has really low gas fees and a really great meme coin ecosystem, which brings the coin a whole bunch of volume. So basically, I think the top Ethereum competitors, including Solana, which is one of my favorites, are probably going to be doing better than Ethereum and might be a better option, but Ethereum is really interesting because of its staking rewards. XRP wants to basically replace SWIFT, which is the global monetary system, or the rails that we send dollars on, basically. And I don't know if that's going to be possible, and I also don't own any XRP, unfortunately. But it's another really big gainer, and as long as you don't go chasing candles, which is always sketchy to do, this too might really be a great buy if you do buy it on a dip. ADA is one of my favorites as well. I like Charles Hoskinson, but I think he wasted a lot of time over there in Africa doing some stuff that didn't really matter for the project. I mean, it matters for the world because he was doing some humanitarian aid or something like that. And he seems like a really great guy, but the development on the ADA ecosystem is pretty slow, which he says is a feature, not a bug, and that's one of the reasons why I like it, honestly. It seems like they make sure that something is really going to work well before they launch it, and that's really important because projects like Solana crash a lot, and there's a whole bunch of problems with other cryptocurrencies, but ADA seems to be pretty solid. It's just really boring because, like I said, the development is slow. So ADA isn't really a common mover. It doesn't move all the time, and sometimes it'll just go sideways even in the middle of a bull market. But whenever it does move, it's pretty explosive. And ADA is one of the only cryptocurrencies that has its own oracle, which means that they don't have to partner with Chainlink, and they can bring in information from outside of the blockchain to execute smart contracts. That's going to be really important for any project that tries to build on Cardano. Because, for example, if you want to build like a gaming app where you gamble on sports or something like that, then you're going to have to bring in real information like the score so that you can actually figure out who won the bet. Unlike a lot of cryptocurrencies, Cardano seems like it could actually be something that could contribute to changing the world and actually making cryptocurrency be like the new internet. And I think it's going to be sticking around, while some of these things might turn out to just be all hype and then they might die. These are the kinds of projects that I'm interested in, and there's a few more that I'll mention real quick. Avalanche, I think, is going to be a really big gainer in this bull market because it's supposed to be a gaming blockchain, and I think gaming is going to be a really big narrative this go around, with a whole bunch of really great games that have probably been being developed since the last bull market and are finally going to be being released whenever attention finally does come back to the space and retail enters the market again. I think that time is coming up here probably in the next month or two, and as the hype starts to come back, I think Avalanche is going to be astronomically gaining, and this is easily in my top 5 favorite cryptos. Chainlink is another really great project because it is an oracle, and like I said, that's really important if we're going to actually make cryptocurrency be like the new internet. And a lot of people sleep on it because it's been around for so long, and basically every crypto project already has a partnership with them. So they don't have a whole bunch of news coming out very often, but I think it's very integral to what we're trying to build in crypto. And ultimately, I think it's going to get a lot of institutional investment, and it's definitely something that I want to have in my wallet. Another one that I really like and people like to sleep on a lot is VeChain. This one is supposed to actually log things onto the blockchain that are in the physical environment, like products from stores and maybe like concert tickets or basically anything, I guess. It can be used for inventory and to keep track of products. And basically, if I understand things right, each little product will get its own NFT essentially, and that'll have all kinds of information to do with the processing. Like with food, for instance, you'll be able to tell what was in it and where all of the stuff that was grown came from. Or if you bought a shirt or something, maybe you could tell that like the cotton was grown organically on a safe farm with no slaves or whatever, It's pretty complicated, but I think it's going to be something that businesses are really going to want. And in my opinion, this is the kind of thing that NFTs and cryptocurrency in general were pretty much made for. And it really could contribute to widespread institutional adoption of cryptocurrency technology beyond things like Bitcoin. There's a whole bunch of really great projects here that I'm skipping over, but I'm just pointing out some of my favorites, and some that I think have real use cases and actually have a chance of changing the world in a way. Like Render, for instance. This is a project that's going to let people rent GPU power, and I think that's going to be really interesting when it comes to AI. And there's a whole bunch of use cases for that. For instance, like maybe you want to play a full-size game on your mobile device, but it doesn't have enough graphics power to prevent things like skipped frames. Well, you can just use Render to rent GPU power on a graphics card that's sitting in some kind of warehouse somewhere, or maybe in someone's house, and then you can play your full-size game, and whoever owns the graphics card is going to be getting paid in Render. And if you've paid attention to what's been going on with NVIDIA, obviously graphics cards are in high demand, so I think this project is probably going to be in high demand, and it could probably be a really big gainer. And honestly, I think it's probably going to be one of the earliest narratives and probably one of the biggest gainers in this bull market that people are going to remember. I have a feeling that it's probably going to be one of the next big pumpers, and this is one of the most interesting projects in my opinion, and one of the main ones where I'm still trying to pack my bags. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of really great projects here that I skipped over, and if you want to hear more about any specific ones or what my thoughts are on it, then go over to my Discord. There's a link down in the description, and you can put your questions in the questions and answers tab, like Steven Z did. I'm sorry I didn't give any price targets. I'm sure these are probably going to reach their all-time highs and surpass that, but no one really knows where this thing is going to go, and honestly, I would look like a fool if I tried to make a prediction. The projects Steven asked about are really great, so I do think they're going to reach their all-time highs because most cryptos do blow well past their all-time highs in a bull market. And everybody wants to know where the top is going to be, but nobody knows, and that's why you always want to dollar cost average in whenever you're buying and dollar cost average out, and always keep a moonbag, as they say. Anyway, like I said, if you want your questions answered, go over to the question and answers tab on my Discord. There's a link down in the description. It's free and we have a whole bunch of fun in there. Plus, there's probably going to be mentions of some great projects before they start to pump. So don't miss out, and I'll see you over there. Also, let me know in the comments, what are some of your favorite projects that you think are going to be some of the next big gainers? Either way, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. But most importantly, don't forget to do only good every day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.